we are. We've even got things at the end.
Cool.
Yum, 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 yum.
From fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Pod Therapy. Real people, real problems, and real therapists. You can submit your questions anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. It's the Christmas season, and Pod Therapy is here to keep you company. Like glitter on tree sap-covered hands, we'll be sticking around through the holidays. And now, broadcasting from the churn, that guy's Dr. Jim Jobin. I'm Nick Sangeman. It's time for some Pod Therapy.
So if you missed the Patreon of the show, patreon.com/therapy, there's always an extra hour of show before the actual therapy show. Nick was golfing, and so his lovely girlfriend Laura joined us, and Jacob and I had ourselves a day. Oh, the conversation was fantastic.
Is that why she's home crying right now?
Yes, that's why she left immediately and couldn't look you in the eye whenever you got here. It was glorious. So much fun.
Oh, good.
So special thanks to Laura. But one of the things Laura was telling us, we were going over favorite Christmas movies of the season, and she said that you are the one who actually made her watch Christmas Vacation. She had never seen it before that.
Yes, I think that sounds right. There's a couple movies I've had her watch.
Okay.
Christmas Vacation, everyone knows that.
Yes.
Have you ever watched Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas?
No, the title sells itself.
Jacob?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was made probably early 80s.
Okay.
It's a Jim Henson,
Oh.
Muppets type.
Okay.
Oh,
Except
yes, I have seen this.
Yes, except it's not with the Muppets as in the characters, but it's the same type of thing.
Right.
Okay.
That's the theme.
Yes, and my sister and I used to watch that all the time as kids. She actually got me the DVD for Christmas a couple years back. So we watched it, and it was glorious.
Aw.
We did watch, for the first time ever, It's a Wonderful Life,
Okay. Yeah.
and I liked it.
You'd never seen it.
I'd never seen it.
That's hard to get through childhood and not bump into that movie at some point.
Well, I mean, I've seen clips of it. You know,
Right. You're aware of it as a cultural
the famous
idea.
clips. You know,
Yeah.
'cause it's like the most.
God bless us, everyone.
No.
Wait, is that
That's Christmas
is that Oliver
Carol.
Twist? Okay.
That's Oliver Twist.
Sorry.
No.
I'm getting all my movie quotes.
Teacher says every time a bell rings,
Yeah.
an angel
Gets its wings. Yes, that's the one. Yeah.
I liked it. She
He goes,
hated it.
attaboy, Clarence.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So finally getting cultured with some of this stuff. Yeah, she was talking about a movie called, what was it called? White Christmas?
White Christmas?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have never heard of that in my life.
Oh, really?
Never
Yeah,
in my life.
That's a famous.
And yeah, I had no idea
Classic
that this
movie.
is like a classic one. See,
Yeah.
I'm of the belief that Christmas Vacation is in the pantheon of canon Christmas like movies.
I
Has
think it
to
is
be
now.
watched.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
think it, yeah.
Yeah, Jacob
It's-
doesn't agree.
Oh, Jacob.
Neither did Laura.
No?
Yeah, both of them were like,
too
man,
new. They're
too
traditionalists.
sophisticated, I think.
They're,
Yeah.
They're traditionalists.
It's too high society for the likes of them.
We're traditionalists and we like good movies.
Dinner was full.
We traditionally like movies that are decent.
I actually went and bought those moose glasses that Randy
Oh, yeah,
Quaid
yeah, yeah,
uses.
yeah.
Like, I have those.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. That's part of
I'm
my
sure those
tradition.
were big sellers.
Yeah, oh yeah,
when that
yeah.
movie came out.
Yep. Every year we make like some kind of like holiday drink, and that always goes in my moose glass.
got
and I
to.
just walk
Yeah.
around in like my too tight sweater and just live my best life.
Yes.
I love it.
With a little dicky underneath that
Yeah.
you can see through.
Gotta have it. Gotta have it. Oh, best Christmas movie ever.
Oh, yeah.
Well, happy holidays, everybody. It's still mid-December when you're hearing this. And a couple of announcements to the general audience, since you guys are very aware of some of the ongoing things of our show. The Best of Las Vegas results have come in, and I came in second in a Best of contest.
Are you
out.
surprised that you did that well?
Yes, very much so.
I know
Yeah,
I am.
very much so.
I was going to put in the intro that this episode is brought to you by Kayenta Therapy.
Kayenta Therapy. For coming in first. We're so proud to be in the same city as
I
this
really
wonderful
honestly
group of
thought
colleagues.
you had a chance.
Yeah.
Just kind of rallying the troops and getting everybody
Right. I
to
worked
vote
my ass
for it.
off,
You
man.
did. You
I
worked-
tried. I
Yeah.
tried. I beat a hospital. I beat Southern Hills Hospital. They came in bronze, and I came
Yeah.
in silver.
Yeah, but they also don't care. So
They were also fighting fucking COVID this entire
right,
time.
yeah. They're kind of busy
They did
saving
not care.
lives.
They are not working on this.
But definitely go there and rub it in their faces.
Oh, I already did.
Please, yeah.
Yeah. The drive here, I was shouting out the window as these like mask-scarred people were stumbling out of the ER.
You're not best in Las Vegas. Neither am I, but you're not either.
I'm closer to it. Yeah, I was telling Jacob in the pre-show, I was like, I would like to think I'm the second best therapist of Las Vegas and go by that title, but Kayenta has 180 therapists.
Yeah.
So I'm the 181st best
Really,
Las Vegas
honestly,
therapist.
if every
Higher than I thought I'd be.
one of their therapists voted,
Yeah.
that's probably how they beat you.
Yeah, exactly. or they all did what I did, which is I sent a message to all my caseload in all history, like anybody who had ever seen me and said, hey, come vote for me or whatever. And so if each person did that, it's astronomical. There's no way. Even the Scoop Army can't overcome that. So, But damn it, I came in silver. So I
have decided what to do about the bumper sticker.
Okay, yes.
Because he didn't win.
I did
Right.
not.
So we don't just get to put a horribly offensive bumper sticker on Jim's
Feels
car.
right. I like where this is going.
But
Wait, what?
he is on there. And so I feel like we get something.
Okay.
I feel like we get something too.
And so I've settled on
Yeah.
nonsensical, hard to explain bumper sticker.
Okay.
Right now I'm
think that's
leaning
fair.
towards
Yeah.
a South African flag.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
where's he
Just
going with that?
Just confusing.
Like, what is, where is this? Yeah, okay. Yeah, somebody on Twitter this morning, I found out on Twitch, I think I told you that, but like, somebody on Twitter this morning said the bumper sticker that would most annoy Jim would be second place of Best of Las Vegas.
That's
Just
true.
find that bumper sticker on their website and just buy it. I got second place in Best of Las Vegas.
Yeah. Pretty solid.
That's a pretty hard burn right there. Just have to carry that around. So.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. And also the book is doing very well. I've actually got a copy that somebody sent me. Dan Martin, thank you so much, from Phoenix, sent me my very own copy of my own book. It's actually the very first copy that I'm holding. And Nick, thank you so much for supporting me also. I saw that you picked up a book and threw it away promptly. Yep. But whatever, buying it exempts you from reading it.
Yep.
I don't care. Yep. gave me reviews. But thank you, all of you friends who have gone to dadvicebook.com and bought the book on Amazon. There were people like Ulrika that bought a copy and then bought 3 more sponsored copies and gave them away for free.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was so cool. Nathan's Hot Dog Scoop, he goes, yeah, I bought the Kindle version, but then I thought, screw it, and I bought the paperback too. It's like, oh, thanks, man. So just lots of love. Everybody's been so supportive at dadvicebook.com. It's doing really well. I got into the top 500 at my best. So that's pretty damn cool. Because when I started, like, it tells you your rank, and it's like I was ranked like 16,000 something, and that was just in self-help. And I decided not to go with a subcategory because I was going to go with like something weird, like I don't know, East Indian cookbooks that happen to live in New Jersey or whatever, like something really sub. And decided, no, I just want to go legit and just go self-help and just try my odds. I knew I wasn't going to do well, but whatever. I just didn't feel weird.
I enjoyed the book more than I thought I would.
You read the book?
No.
Oh, the hook embedded so deep in my throat. I grabbed it so fast.
I was like, what?
What?
I didn't even read the book. What?
I know I didn't read the book.
I have a copy over here if you're looking for one.
I'm not.
Okay. I'll sign it for you.
I've started.
That's fine.
I started reading it.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
At least by that you mean the cover?
No. Like
And
I
the
read.
part that I had to read in order to hold the book in my hands.
It's Nick's new bathroom book.
Yeah, it is.
That's a good use of that book. That's
It
fine.
is.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks to all of you guys who have been so supportive at dadvicebook.com. The book Dadvice, 50 Fatherly Life Lessons. The thing that's been interesting is I've had lots of people write me who've said, oh man, this, like they heard about the book and they're like friends or patients or whatever. And they've said, oh, it looks so good, man. Hopefully one day you'll write like a book not for fathers. And I'm like, no, it's not.
Uh-oh.
Yep. And so, like, it sucks because the original title of the book was Love, Dad, and it was going to be, like, letters to my children. But then I read a book about writing books, and it said, don't do that. Make the title screamingly obvious what it is you're doing if it's nonfiction. Don't be cheeky. Don't have a clever title. Just scream it. And I was like, Dad Advice. Oh, Dadvice. Okay, 50 Fatherly Life Lessons. That's the gimmick. We're done here. And still, so many people are like,
Yeah.
well, maybe I'll buy this for a dad that I know. And I'm like, no, that's not what it is. Damn it.
Yeah.
So, whatever. But
just think it'll fly off the shelves on Father's Day.
that's what I'm hoping.
No,
Yeah. I'll go with it. I don't mind people making an error in my favor. But thank you for all the support, both for the people that voted for me for Best Las Vegas and for all the people that are supporting the book and reviewing it on Amazon. Your reviews mean the world to me. I love to read them, especially when they're legitimate, Nick. But
It's always legitimate. I was serious. Black ink on white paper
It was tasteful.
was a great choice.
Solid. This is my favorite thing about this
Yes.
book. The aesthetic was solid.
It was incredibly easy to read.
Yes. That's what you said.
Yeah. Had you gone with white ink,
That would have been
That'd have been
horrible.
terrible.
That would have been terrible to read.
you
Yeah,
had
no,
to struggle
okay.
through that.
Yeah, solid. Good feedback.
Yeah, I meant every word of
These
that.
are good notes. These are good notes. And in the future, I am working on it now, but I'm going to do like a book clubby read through of the book. And I'll probably make Nick be a part of it at some point. But I'm also going to see if I could.
Yeah, you better. I can't wait
This is not
to
good.
share my opinions.
I am going to see what else I can do about it, but I'm also going to see if maybe my mom and dad would like to take turns doing one or two of them with me. That'd be kind of fun.
Okay. Yeah,
So I obviously talk about them a lot in the book.
Sure.
Bat
Mom. She keeps coming up on ICS. It's literally showing up in their Scooperties now. Like I was watching it last night, and it's like questions on Scooperty are about my Bat Mom. So hang in there, Mom. All right,
she does. Under a bridge.
I walk right into it, didn't I? I just walk right into it. All right, well, we've got some great letters today to read to you guys and to work through. The first one is titled, Dealing with Negative Self-Talk. How do you stop telling yourself stories that you know are negative? Specifically, a ticker of your most humiliating memories that lead to thoughts of, you're so stupid, that was so dumb of you, everyone was laughing at you, etc. I have maybe 30 memories like that, and as soon as I'm reminded of one, I can't help but start playing them all through my head. How do I stop this? Anonymous.
That's a good question.
Huge. So many people relate to that.
Yeah, a lot of people relate to that because it's one of those things where it's like a snowball. Like
Yes.
as soon as it starts going, then you've kind of created a habit
Yes.
in your mind
Oh, yeah.
of going from one embarrassing moment to
Yep.
the next, and
The
they
highlight
just get,
reel.
Exactly.
Yeah, the Hall of
And-
Shame.
Yeah, and stopping that tape halfway through is incredibly difficult.
Yeah, we all
mean-
have those. And I think there's also something here that sounds like intrusive thoughts.
Yes.
You know, where it's just like you're just in the middle of like soaping your hair, and then all of a sudden it's like bam, like you just have this idea of like.
Right.
I think I've told the story before, but like I do that all the time. Like I have this intrusive memory that always pops in of being in 3rd grade and 4th grade. Let me tell you my story of woe.
Yes.
So in 3rd grade, they had reading week. And I was new to the school. I had moved here from Texas. And so I was living in Las Vegas, and we had reading week. And it was like all the kids got really excited for it. And I walk in one day, and all the kids knew about reading week, but I didn't. And they all had like sleeping bags and like their stuffed animals and like pillows and stuff. And they'd all get to set up
what?
pillows. Also, Nick is working on adding merch to our store that is called the Pillow.
Yes. It's a pillow, it's a throw pillow. And it's gonna say
PE.
my therapy pillow.
Pillow.
Spelled like Jello.
Great.
Yeah.
Feels right. Right. But yeah, all the kids had this cool stuff, and they all laid out, and they all read their books. They brought books from home. It's a big, huge thing. Our teacher really indulged it. And I didn't know anything. So I'm like sitting there at my desk. All the other kids are like enjoying themselves. And I felt so embarrassed because I was like, oh, I'm the only kid that didn't get to do this. 4th grade comes around, and I'm like, all right, this year I'm going hard. So, like, I remember that it's reading week. I hear the announcements. I have my mom, like, drop off at the office, like, a sleeping bag and pillows and, like, a big old stuffed animal and, like, 3 books. And, like, the reading week comes, and my teacher is, like, very stoic. She's not as indulgent as the 3rd grade teacher. And it was a 4th, 5th combo class, so, like, it's already, like, a pretty mature class. And she's like, all right, everybody, this afternoon we're going to acknowledge reading week. And so, just so you know, it's going to be at this time or whatever. And all the kids were like, all right, that's fine. And, like, I'm like, oh, shit. Like, nobody's doing anything. Like, they're all just sitting at their desks. And then the office calls me, and they're like, Jimmy Jobin, come to the office. And I'm like, oh, shit. And so I go down there, and I bring, like, this huge sleeping bag and pillows and blankets and, like, stuffed animals from home. And I was in 4th grade, and all the kids gave me so much shit. And I, like, put it all down, and my teacher was like, even my teacher, like, she could have just been like, oh, that's fun, but she was like, Yeah, all right, Jimmy, I guess you can set those up over there. So I was the only kid. All the other kids are sitting at their desks quietly reading a book, and I'm in the corner in my, like, pillow fort that I built, and everybody hated me. They just thought I was the dumbest fucking kid ever.
Those two things are unrelated.
Haunts me. I'll be in the middle of, like, a bite of mac and cheese, and that'll just sting my brain. I'll be like, oh, God. So I relate, Ryder.
I do too. I've got a bunch of stories like that, but it's weird because I can never remember them. Like if you ask me now to
Your
tell
story's
you an
exactly like
story,
that?
Yeah, weird.
Pretty much, yeah.
You guys had reading week in Iowa?
sad.
That's cool.
No, we don't read.
No, there's no reading. It was the time we all go out and work on the farm.
Right.
Right.
That was the reading.
It's
Yeah,
called the
husking
harvest.
corn.
The
Yeah,
harvest.
that's right.
But yeah, but like if you ask me now, I can't tell you a story. Like it leaves my mind as quickly as it comes in.
Oh, lucky you.
Yeah, I know. I am blessed by having a terrible memory.
Oh no.
Yeah, for
Mine
that reason.
sticks. I get them all day. I
But
get Hall of Fame.
Do you
of
get?
worst
Do you
memories.
get like the writer? Do you get a series of them?
Yes.
So does that one lead into another one that leads into another one that leads into another one?
There are definitely times where there is a theme. In that particular memory, it does, but it sticks to the theme of other things I did that year or that were embarrassing as a child.
Okay.
That also made me feel like I was unimportant and I was an embarrassment.
Because I do know of people who have had similar things to this where there's no theme.
Right.
Like it's just you feel the
theme is embarrassment.
The theme is the emotion.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's that embarrassment, so that shame that then triggers the next
Yes.
thought, that triggers the next thought.
Yes.
And because there's really kind of two things happening here. There's the intrusive thought,
Yes.
right? And then how do you break the cycle?
Right.
Because you're not always going to be able to stop every intrusive thought.
Right.
But there are some thought-stopping techniques that you can try. I mean, and these are kind of old-fashioned, but really anything that's going to, once you have that thought, anything that's going to force your brain into activity that's like complicated, that forces you to have to use it to solve a problem. Some people will use like the snapping of a rubber band, which is more of a, that's kind of activating a different part of the brain, right? It's kind of that part of the brain that senses danger, because when you feel hurt, you're automatically tuned to danger, safety.
It will
that.
take your
And
mind
it
off the
does
thought.
shift
Yeah.
that a little bit. But obviously, we don't want you to then like continue to up the ante. Like, oh, rubber
Right.
band's not working.
Slap
Maybe
myself
I-
in the face.
Yeah, I gotta slam my hand in a car
Put the
door.
cigarette out on my
Right.
arm.
Right.
It's getting kind of weird, guys.
Right. So, I mean, everybody's going to have to try a different technique.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if there's anything that you can do that's going to, like, okay, this happens, I got to throw myself into this
Right.
thing. And I have to think hard about solving this puzzle or
Right.
A crossword or Sudoku or whatever.
Right. Yeah, and I think that intrusive thoughts are, and again, so the writer is describing, I think, something that, we've heard of a lot. It's very, very common. And then this idea that we're kind of unpacking for you called intrusive thoughts, it is this thing that sort of happens, and it can be what we're hearing here, where you have memories, like these stinging memories. That's what I experience. Sometimes intrusive thoughts are also scary ideas of what if. What if I drive my car into those people on the side of the road? What if I were to push this kid into a manhole? Like, what if I'm secretly, I've had lots of patients say, what if I'm secretly gay? And I'm like, is that bad? And they're like, well, that's not how I identify, so that scares me. And it's like, okay, great. So that's an intrusive thought to you, right? It's not true. Mm-hmm. And so there is a lot of like patterns of this. And especially if you've had past traumas and histories of shame or guilt or pain, sometimes your brain does what the writer's is doing, where you have kind of this Hall of Fame kind of experience where it just reminds you of all the bad things that have ever happened, and it's really difficult to deal with. There is a book that I really like on this subject that I think I've recommended before, but it's called Overcoming Unwanted Intrusive Thoughts. Overcoming Unwanted Intrusive Thoughts. It's a really short book. It's very, very good. And it's by Doctors Winston and Seif, S-E-I-F, Overcoming Unwanted Intrusive Thoughts. And in the book, I'll give you the short version of it, but it's very much worth a read. They also go over a technique called RAIN, R-A-I-N. And this is something that I lead a lot of my patients through, that when we're having a bad memory, and again, there's one thing to like have a bad memory and have it dwell on you. There's another thing when it's this lightning bolt kind of Hall of Fame bad stuff. And actually, when I tell my patients how to address this particular issue, I teach them RAIN, but I also teach them something that Nick taught me that I think is one of the most useful things, especially when it comes to embarrassment. And these feelings of like, oh my God, those people must have all thought so poorly of me.
Oh,
And I'll let Nick tell that story because it's a really good technique. I use that all the time. But RAIN is, an acronym, RAIN. And here's what we teach people. R, recognize what is happening. Okay. And what we want you to do with that is just to reflect and say, okay, I'm having a strong emotion. That emotion is attached to memory. Let's recognize that's not the now. Let's just recognize what is happening. This is a bad memory. A is allowing life to be just as it is. Allow life to be just as it is. So it's this acceptance of being like, okay, that's not who I am. Life today is different than life then. And my past and my history is part of, but not my present, right? I allow my life to be as it is today, standing on the shoulders of those bad incidences that have happened in the past, but it is in the present. The I is for investigating my inner experience. This is very important. Because especially if you're remembering something embarrassing, like my childhood fiasco of reading week, I could look at that and say, I'm such an idiot. People thought I was enthusiastic about something, and I was excited about something, and my vulnerability caused me to be hurt when other people laughed because I was childish and they were older. Like they acted like big kids, and I acted like a child, and that was embarrassing, because these are my peers. And I seemed like a naive, enthusiastic dummy, and they seemed like cool, jaded, whatevers. That's how I look at it. And so, like, when I investigate...
Cool, jaded, whatever.
Fuckers.
With their leather jackets and their
they were all smoking. Yeah.
Their make-out parties.
Close your eyes and imagine Joe Camel from the... Okay, that's all the kids in class. Every single kid was that kid. But yeah, so what is I? I is investigating my inner experience. And so it's checking with myself and saying, but Jim... Are you embarrassingly enthusiastic about things? Well, I'm enthusiastic about things, and I enjoy that about myself. I do get excited, and that's okay, right? So investigating my truth, my experience, and saying my inner experience is that one was silly, and other people may have gotten a laugh, but I like this about myself. I'm enthusiastic and optimistic. And then the last letter in RAIN, N, is for non-identification. And so this is when we kind of detach ourselves from that memory and say, that is not who I am. That was a moment. None of us is our worst moment, okay? And so that's not who I am. That's not where I come from. That is something that has happened and has passed through. It is only a memory. That's not a defining consideration of me. And that's the non-identification in RAIN. Yeah. But what the writer's talking about, I think specifically, is not just this idea of intrusive thoughts, but the idea of embarrassment.
Yes.
And feeling as though, oh my God, that was so humiliating. I'm sure and I think about it all the time.
Yeah.
And I can't believe that actually happened. It's like this, eternal YouTube video in my mind of how bad it was. Right. But that's never the case, is it?
Well, and oftentimes we remember it worse than it was, too.
Right. That's true.
And I think the time that you're
especially
referring
childhood
to,
memories.
Oh, God.
Yeah, absolutely. Because everything seems bigger in childhood.
Yeah.
Right?
No, all of my embarrassing childhood memories that come up as you're talking about this, I'm sure we're all fine.
Yeah,
right.
100%.
To everyone else involved in the memory, first of all, they have no memory of it at all. They have no recollection of it at all because they don't care.
Exactly.
But in my mind, it's magnified 100 times from what it actually was because I'm looking at it through the eyes of a 6-year-old.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And that's the thing I think that you were getting to.
Yes.
The thing that I was telling you, because we had this conversation once, I think at work. We were talking about something embarrassing that happened to you. It may have been this story or a different story, but I remember saying to you,
There's so many.
Yeah, I know. I remember saying
it's hard to
you,
find just one.
Just imagine being Jim's kids when they're teenagers. They're just going to be
They'll
embarrassed.
change their names. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. They'll change their names. They'll be on witness protection by that time.
I remember challenging your thinking on that.
Yes.
Be like, do you think any of them even remember that?
Yeah.
And of course they don't.
Right.
Of course they don't.
Well,
I mean, we went back for my 20th high school reunion, not this past summer, a year before that.
Uh-huh.
And so their producer, Ben, and I were out at this class reunion, and we were talking to one of our classmates. And she was talking to us about a time that we were all in a car together, the three of us and one other person, and sometime in high school. She's like, remember that time that you guys had me laughing so hard I peed my pants in the car? And both Ben and I were like, what?
Right.
No.
You don't remember.
No. She's like, yeah. I was like, no, you must have us confused. I don't remember. She was like, no, it was the two of you and so.
And you're like,
And
no,
we have
no
recollection of that
No.
whatsoever.
Right.
Because that's kind of how our brains work. Our
Yes.
brains focus on information that's useful to us.
Yes.
And there's no information that's more useful to us than the stuff that's about us.
Yes.
So we don't have a file for things like that.
That was the
We
game
are by
changer.
nature self-centric.
Exactly.
Yes, and that was the game changer for me whenever you walked me through that exercise. As I remember, I think it was on the show, but you had said,
We've definitely talked about this on the show.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's so
sounds
good.
like-
It's just a really good, like, I love that bit. But, Nick had said, imagine a friend and tell me about your friend's most embarrassing moments.
Oh, right.
And I was like, well, shit, I don't know. And it's like, oh, no, you're a good friend to somebody, right? Who's your best friend?
Yeah.
Like, think about their most... And I'm like, Jesus, I don't think they've ever done anything. And like, but I know that's not true. And they're like, that's how often they think of yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's their ability. Like, your capability to imagine all their worst moments, unless they've personally told them to you and, like,
Yeah.
you have that file,
Right.
that's not the same.
Now, here's another twist to this, all right? Because with this question, it may not have anything to do with anybody else even remembering it.
Right.
It could all be internal.
Yes.
So it could all be about the person's view of themselves in that
Exactly.
situation and that embarrassment, even if no one else knew about it, how they reacted in that situation. In which case, I think the rain thing is really good.
Yes.
Mindfulness meditation is really good because one of the things that teaches you is to remove value
Right.
from it. Because if you remove a value from it and you just say, yes, this happened, and we're not saying it's good, not saying it's bad, just completely removing all value to it, then it takes away the power.
Right.
And then once you do that, then it no longer leads into that stream of other examples. Because what happens there is that's all emotion based, right?
Right.
As we talked about before. So you kind of cut the thread
Right.
in that theme of negative emotion because it no longer creates an emotion.
Let me ask you this. Is it better to remove the value from that, do you think? And this is just opinion, obviously. Is it better to remove the value from that completely or to explore it and find its true value?
Both are good.
And by that, I mean, like, oh, here's an embarrassing thing that happened in my lifetime. Let me think about my closest friend. Let me think about the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to them. Okay, I can't think of anything. Let me assign the value that's in my mind from my event
Yes.
to, let me assign that value from an outside point of view.
Right. So really kind of what you're doing there in a sense is cognitive reframing, right?
Yes.
So you're taking it and you're reframing it into a different package. And that is another technique that is very useful because really, why are you embarrassed?
Right.
You're embarrassed because you've grown,
Yes.
right?
Right.
Because you
that's
now
not who
know
you are.
something.
Right.
So you can't have embarrassment if you're still in that moment. So what you did right there is you've just reframed it
You've
into
non-identified.
You're right. So
Yes.
this emotion means personal growth.
Yes.
Right. So you could do it that way. You could remove meaning from it or value from it altogether. I think try both.
Yeah.
And hopefully one of those two will stick.
Well, yeah, and I like what Jacob said because another thing we would say about that is you're right sizing your reaction to it.
Yep.
Right. To explore it in that sense is to right size it. And that's kind of what you see all three of us doing in that is to turn the thing over and over again in your head, looking at it from every angle, past, present, and future, and right sizing what it is truly so that our reaction matches that.
Yeah, and right sizing, when we talk about that, you also have to, Jacob brought up earlier, like there's a difference between looking at something through the lens of an adult
Yeah.
versus through the lens of a child.
Right.
We're not being fair to ourselves if we look at a past event based off of where we are right now.
Right.
So
So
and you shouldn't just do it as, child adult either.
Right.
I mean, if you did something and you were an idiot 6 months ago,
right.
well, you're not that big of an idiot anymore.
Right.
Right.
The reason that memory stings you
Yeah.
is because that's no longer in alignment with who you are.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If you
That's-
chewed with your mouth open and then, 2 weeks later you're horrified that there's a video of you chewing with your mouth open, that's because you don't do that anymore.
Right.
Right.
And that's why it bothers you, right?
Right.
And okay, at least see your own progress.
If
That's
nothing
huge.
about your past behavior bothers you, you've probably not grown as a human being
Exactly.
the amount that you should, and there's probably an issue there.
Sure. So
Yeah.
you're disturbed about
You're either
this.
perfectly adjusted and not embarrassed by anything,
Right.
or
Ignorantly blissful.
you're a sociopath.
Yeah. There's that too.
Right.
But, I do want to take a second. The writer, specifically had those memories of, you're so stupid, that was so dumb of you, everybody's laughing at you. There's shame attached to that. And I know for me, that's another big part of my memory problem, is it's not just, these embarrassing, silly child things. It's real mistakes that I've made in my life that will also haunt me. And I'll be
Sure.
so sad inside, or I'll feel indicted, or I'll feel like I don't I'm not worthy or I'm a bad person because of this Hall of Fame bad stuff. Some of it's silly and you kind of go, oh, how dumb. You were in 4th grade. And some of it's like, no, I made these huge life mistakes that I feel haunted by, right? So I will take a second, since I'm pitching my book this month very hard, to read very briefly from it, since neither of you jackasses will ever read it. In my book, Dad Advice, 50 Fatherly Life Lessons.
I tried real hard.
I'm going to read a very small section. And this is actually exactly the phenomenon I wanted to write about and I was trying to teach my kids about. It's from a very short chapter titled, None of Us is Our Worst Moment. I will read it and then we'll jump. I knew I wasn't going to get away with it. I was going to try. All right. It is titled, None of Us is Our Worst Moment. So I'm reading this to the question writer. I think a lot about how different humans are from the rest of the animal kingdom. We can dream and plan for the future. We can sacrifice ourselves for ideas. I think we're also the only species that collects stamps. Another thing that is peculiar to our conscious mind is regret. We remember a thing we said or did and feel haunted by it. The memory stabs at us and tells us that we are horrible. Regret looms like an executioner's axe in our memories. Those feelings can become intrusive and interrupt our lives, telling us that we are villains, fools, or unworthy of joy. The thing about being conscious is that we are too complex to be guided by instinct alone. We learn by doing, by feeling, by error. We bumble and crash through life, getting the hang of things as we go. We make mistakes and we learn from them. But in the ocean of a human being, a mistake is only a speck of sand. A moment, an hour, a day is nothing in the long winding story of a human life. Our regrets try to tell us who we are, but at best, they tell us only what once happened. We have all made mistakes. Those mistakes hurt to think about, but that hurt reveals our true character. Clearly, if those memories bother us, it means that whatever happened is incongruent with who we really are. Do not allow yourself to be tricked into thinking you are your worst moments. You are ever-changing, ever-growing, and infinitely complex. You are a galaxy of ideas and choices and thoughts. You are not your worst moment.
What page was that?
I lost it.
I know I got at least that far. I remember reading
Okay.
3.
And that captures, I think, a lot.
That sounds about right.
Captures a lot. Anyway, we are gonna...
Weirdly, the main thing that I took away from that is I stopped listening and Googled what birds collect stamps and magpies.
There you go. That was the takeaway. So, writer, you are not your worst moment. And to anybody out there who has a Hall of Fame memory complex where these intrusive, painful memories come back and haunt you, remember that that is not the definition of who you are, and it bothers you because you have changed, and that is your evidence of it. So we are going to take a quick break, and actually, Nick, listen carefully because I think I'm going to pick a different question here. When we come back, we are going to discuss forbidden sexual desires. You're listening to
Did
Pod
we already
Therapy.
talk about that with Laura?
Nope. Oh, that's right. That's right, we did.
All right, this week's Theraproducer sponsors are Nathan's Hot Dog Scoop, Dr. Ben Don, Scott Jameson, and Scott Brady.
Woo woo!
Thank you very much. And our question in honor of our Theraproducers is about Santa.
Ooh.
What country was the original Santa Claus from?
Oh, God. It's going to be like a Nordic country, isn't it?
Germany.
That, you might be right. I'm going to...
Santa Claus.
Oh, Klaus.
Yep.
I'm going to go with, I feel like it's going to be Finland. Let's go with Finland.
All right.
Okay. If you'd like to join the Theraproducers and make the show possible, go to patreon.com/therapy and sign up. Again, that's patreon.com/therapy.
Or is this like the guy that Santa Claus is kind of based off of?
Chris
is that
Kringle?
Is that who we're asking
Nicholas?
I
about?
believe so.
St. Nicholas?
Oh, so this is the
Yes,
guy.
actually,
yeah.
yes. I'm
Okay,
pretty
if
sure
it's St. Nicholas, it's not going to be Germany because
No.
they're going to be Protestants. They're not going to have any Catholic saints going.
I don't think it's St. Nicholas.
I think it is.
I don't think it is.
It's got to be. I think it's going to be.
I got $5 that says it's not St. Nicholas.
I'm not doing this. I keep losing money on this show. I'm not doing it anymore.
How about betting a bumper sticker?
No, Jesus Christ! I just dodged that bullet.
The antes have been upped.
Okay, I think it's going to be a Catholic country. So now I'm kind of steering away from Finland. I know Spain's
But you also
too low.
you got to think Catholic at what time?
Yeah, that's true. I'm going to go with Russia
Okay.
All right.
or Prussia, and I feel that those need to be the same answer. I'm claiming both. I think
I'll
you
go
should-
with Europe.
That's bullshit. Was
I'll
Jacob
go with
right?
the continent
Jacob-
of Europe.
Jacob is half right.
How is this possible?
Does that help?
Oh, because it's
No.
going to be... No, wait, it kind of does.
It does.
Okay, so half right with saying Europe.
Yes. What country is in 2 continents?
What?
Oh.
Ukraine?
no.
Ukraine. It is in Risk.
Shit.
Just ruin it for you. What country's in
No,
two
what is it?
continents?
Turkey.
Oh, God, I'm so angry at myself. I just watched that Kurt Russell movie, The Christmas Chronicles, and in it, the Christmas star gets broken, and so Santa Claus, who is Kurt Russell, has to go back to Turkey to get another one from the elves in the forest.
Oh, yeah. You're an idiot.
Yeah. God. Had it right there.
Just when I think he can't top himself.
Yeah.
Just watched that documentary.
So the answer is Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell and the
Final
Forest
answer.
of Elves. All right.
What's the guy's name?
St. Nicholas. Is
I don't know.
Oh.
that
Wasn't
wasn't
part of
in
the
your
question.
answer?
No.
Whoever this individual was,
Yeah.
we know that they're from Turkey. All right. Forbidden sexual desires. Hey there, Pod Therapy friends. I first wanted to thank you for this podcast and your response to my earlier writing about losing friends in COVID times. I have since gotten into counseling and have been going every week since the end of September.
Awesome.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations on that. Good job. As a bit of backstory, I work at a university as a resident director where I get to oversee a large dorm building. As a professional staff, I am provided with a free apartment within the building, and my office is right next door to my apartment. So I live and work in the same building. There is a new guest policy for the college because of COVID-19, and it has been the biggest strain on my mental health as I am a very social person. The only visitors I am able to have are people who live in the same building as me. Building A can only visit Building A. You cannot go to Building B, C, or D unless it is my official capacity as professional staff. I am the only professional staff who lives in my building, so the only people that I can visit with are the students who live in my building. Not a good situation at all.
That's just odd.
Yeah, it's special times. If I want to socialize with the people in the building, it sets up conflicts of interest for me as the person who runs the building, and I do not want to put my career on the line for socializing. The professional staff are not able to form deeper friendships because we cannot physically visit one another. And we are all exhausted from Zoom meetings every day and do not want to socialize over Zoom. Here is the main problem I'm having at the moment. I've found myself having sexual thoughts about a couple of the female students who are under my supervision. I have wild fantasies about me and them being sexually intimate, cuddling, and overall just being physically close with them. If I ever acted on these thoughts, I could lose my job and likely not be able to get another one with a school in the future. I definitely do not want to act on these thoughts, and I keep wondering why they are popping up. Is it because I am only really interacting with my staff during this time, and because of this, my mind is telling me that I need to be closer with them? Is my mind screaming at me, trying to tell me what I desperately need? What I could use at this time is some insight into what you might think is going on with me and how I can counter these thoughts I have been having. Any help is much appreciated. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate the podcast. Thank you for encouraging many people to get the help they need. Sincerely, Jeff.
Okay. Thanks, Jeff.
So to clarify for anybody who wasn't listening carefully throughout that question.
Thank you.
He works at a university.
Yes.
Okay, so he is a resident director at a university.
So these are legal-aged adults.
Legal-aged adults.
Correct.
Yes. And so he's
So this is we're
experiencing...
dealing with policy, not
criminality.
law
Not
here.
criminality.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just, hey, you work here.
This is school policy.
Yeah, you work here. These university adults are students.
Yeah.
They live here. Your professional capacity is to be their landlord and their assistant in this building, keep the peace, keep the rules. And he's trapped. He can only interact with the people that live in that building, who are his neighbors. He lives there too. He cannot interact with his peers, who would be natural to go out with or spend time with. And to me, guys, that feels extremely... I mean, I want to first say there's nothing obviously wrong about that, right?
Right.
Like, I don't look at that and go, oh my God, you're a monster. Who would ever feel that way?
You're not a deviant.
Yeah, no.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
you're trapped with a bunch of other adults in COVID. These are the only humans you spend any time with. You spend a disproportionate amount of time with them. I mean, I remember doing sex and love theory in the master's program, and like a big part of it's just proximity.
Yeah.
Like, just being near people actually makes them more attracted to you, and you
Yeah.
feel more connected and bonded
Because
with
your
them.
brain has a job to do.
Right, right.
And it considers your options.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's kinda,
access is part of it.
Yes.
100%. It kind of reminds me of like when you hear stories about people who get stranded in the wilderness and
Right.
like the only thing that's available for them to eat is worms.
Uh-huh.
And they'll say that like after a while they start to look really delicious because your brain recognizes
You're adapting.
we have to eat something.
Right.
I have to make these look good to this person so that he will eat them.
These are your only options.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's nothing wrong with what's going on as far as how your brain's functioning.
Right.
There's also nothing
it's-
wrong, by the way, with denying that to yourself.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's also nothing wrong with what you said, like, you don't
can't
want to do this.
Yes.
Right.
Well, it wasn't even that they can't do it. It's
Right.
they don't want to do it.
Right.
Right.
They don't want to pursue this. Also good. Also
Yeah.
fine.
Yes.
Which is important to note because I do know therapists who have a certain philosophical point of view when it comes to sexuality. And that point of view is almost the infallibility of a sex drive. Like, if you sexually desire something, that is always your most authentic self, and to in any way stifle that is you enforcing some kind of puritanical philosophy on yourself that's going to hurt
Really?
you. I know therapists who
That
think
makes
like
me
that.
just hate everybody.
Yeah. I know therapists who think like that. I am not one of them. I am very much agreed with Jacob that no, you're allowed to say this would be career suicide.
Yeah, yeah.
This is not in alignment with my professional self. I happen to live where I work, and so I'm experiencing this very natural, organic conflict. It's hard for me to wear two hats when I live in one place and I work there and I never leave.
I mean, you can make the argument that's your true self, but in the context of that situation.
Exactly.
In the context of being locked in a building with no
Sure.
other social contact.
Which I think is what we're trying to say. Like, I think
Exactly.
we're trying to say, Jeff, I don't want you to shame yourself. I don't want you to pathologize this.
No,
We're not going to be
definitely.
like, oh, well, obviously you're a deviant. You know, like,
Right.
no, come on. You know, like, I think that we're explaining that evolutionarily, we 100% expect this to happen.
Right.
And Jacob's still right. Okay, but your desire to not act on those, patterns or to confront them is also valid because you're a professional. You know you're there to do a job. You know that's not the way you want to run your show. And now we got to speak to that. So let's speak to that second part of the question then. How does a person try to exercise that kind of self-control? And it's tricky, right? Because I think there's one part, obviously we would immediately be like, oh, let's talk about ways we can kind of get you out there with other people, right? Like let's supplement your social circle. But I think Jeff is also telling us I can't super do that, right? Because like I'm already in Zoom meetings with staff. I'm burned out on that mechanism. I can't leave the building unless I have a damn good reason to do it. And so like he is kind of trapped.
Yeah, that's a terrible situation to be in, and
It
to be living in an environment because I get it, I get why they're doing it, but like that's a part of the whole COVID thing that a lot of people don't have to deal with.
Right.
Like we're all dealing with this to some degree, but most of us can still leave the house,
Right.
and we can still do some certain things, but to be in that situation is extremely prohibitive.
Yeah.
So, I think we need to find for what's the writer's name?
Jeff.
Jeff. I think we need to find for Jeff, because it feels to me like an intrusive thought. This feels to me like the first letter that we talked about today, and the only thing that I would the kind of direction that I would go with this is the fantasies and all of that are in there. It seems like he might need help just getting away from that a little bit, because it seems like that might be what is kind of putting him in a bad place over this.
Right.
Because, I mean, just the attraction is going to be there, and the attraction is the attraction.
Right.
Like, I mean, I work with people who are very good looking. I've
Thank
worked
you. Wow. Jacob. Well, you know what?
That's your own fault.
I feel the same.
It really is.
I feel the same.
my disappointment is not in
I
Jeff,
feel the same.
because this is the same thing. Like, if you punch a tiger,
Yeah.
you don't get to be
Yes.
mad that the tiger bit you.
God,
Yep.
I'm glad you and I, feel the
If
same
you,
way
if
we
you
walk in
tee
here.
him up with something just
Yeah.
very obvious,
Game
and he
recognized
takes it.
game. Game recognized game.
I will say I will say that you've never been more attractive than you are these days. Now that you cover most of your face,
He said with a wink.
but I mean, you're going to be around attractive people always,
Right.
I mean, all of us are around attractive people from time to time.
Yes.
That it would be inappropriate to to pursue in a sexual way,
Right.
Or for a lot of different reasons. You may be in a relationship, they may be in a relationship, you may work together, whatever. I mean, we all deal with that all the time, and so I'm trying to find a different term than unhealthy because I don't think unhealthy is the right word.
Are you trying to say that, okay, I recognize my attraction for this individual, but then fantasizing about it makes it worse?
I think it makes it worse for Jeff.
Right, yeah.
I think it makes it worse for Jeff's just day-to-day mental health and just getting through this year and this pandemic.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to walk this line of not making the fantasies and the attraction sound unhealthy because I don't think they are.
Right.
And I don't think they're wrong. I'm trying to get to this place of like, let's help Jeff out with this, with what Jeff perceives as a problem, because it would be, career-wise, it would be a problem for him. So what would you suggest if you find yourself going into that kind of fanciful place?
Right.
You're alone in your room and you're going to that fanciful place. What would you do? What do you think?
So actually, Jeff, I think that what Jacob just said about working with extremely handsome men.
That's not what he said at all.
That's what I heard. That's what his heart said. No, you can't throw things at me. You did it. That's on you.
I'm just making stuff
You're just
up.
mad at yourself. I shouldn't be punished for this. Okay, I'm just repeating what I heard.
Hey, I've never said that I'm perfect. Sometimes I take out my frustrations on other people.
This is true. This does happen. But no, I think that, Jesus, oh, in the face, in the dome, I got headshotted.
Oh.
We need a drop for that. It's like, boom, headshot.
Oh, the mic definitely picked that up.
Oh, did it? You
was
got
a
the
little
clap?
thwack.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I got it right on the forehead. Oh, my God. That was well shot. Well played. In the head. Sniper. Good eye. All right, but the point I was making before I got blasted in the dome.
Just trying to make you a little less attractive.
Oh, it's hard. You got to keep throwing them. Then you're gonna take a few more. Oh no, I was kidding. Jesus. All right. So the point I was making is this. I think that for us, Nick and I have worked in residential facilities. Okay, so our patients live there, stay there, sleep there. We get to go home at night, but we were executive level leadership, so we were there all the time. We'd be there at 2 a.m. If somebody was having a hard time, our staff would call us, and everybody's asleep, and we're sitting out in the patio, talking somebody down. And of course, the full spectrum of humanity shows up in your work life, And so we've had plenty of people that are very attractive, and you bond with them, and you're sharing this journey with them, and there is a bond. So I can speak to this, I think, Jeff, because I think we could actually relate to you as therapists a lot more than maybe somebody else, who works in like construction or something where this doesn't happen as frequently for them, where there's a boundary thing. And I'll tell you a couple of tricks that I think are really helpful in this kind of a work. So one is it starts with pre-boundaries. Here's what I mean by that. Checking in with how much you allow your people, in this case, I want to use the word students, but I just don't want anybody to cringe. Because these are adults.
Right, yeah.
I just don't want anybody to get the wrong idea. Residents, let's use that
Residents.
word. Yeah, these are the residents that he serves. He's not even a professor. He's the guy who runs their housing complex. He's a landlord or a manager in that sense.
Yeah.
But you need a pre-boundary, and here's what I mean by that. Whenever we would work with residents, and even when I work with patients, sometimes they want to know more about me as a human. The more I reveal about my personal truth, my humanity, my struggles, my family, whatever, when it gets more and more real, the more bonded I'm going to feel to that person, right? And so I don't mind some of that. I keep that on a short leash, though, and I redirect pretty quickly if it starts to get too much about me, because I know that will cause too much bonding. And so for Jim, I call that a pre-boundary. And I used to teach our staff that too, is like you can relate, and we call self-disclose, enough that it makes a point and helps somebody through a hard time if they're going through that. But guard yourself, guard your truth, guard your personal story. Don't over-reveal, because I think it does create too much familiarity, too much commonality. And that starts to bleed into the role where it's not, I'm this, polo shirt wearing, professional who's got a name tag and is here to help. It starts to become, oh, that's Jeff. And, here's everything going on with him and his love life and his mom and his family. They live in Oklahoma or whatever. Like, it just gets too personal. So that's one thing is I do that in my practice, and I've done that in my work life, is I create a pre-boundary, which has been difficult. I think we've talked about that in the past. We've had people write to us and talk about, as therapists, do we have a hard time bonding, with other people? And sometimes we do, because we have to know that that person can never be a patient, because it's always something we're very trained to be protective about. So I know for me, and I'm interested in what you think, Nick, pre-boundaries is one of my kind of golden rules, and it comes with self-disclosure. The less you self-disclose about yourself, the less you reveal to your residents, the more it allows you to live in your professional role and not a personal role that blends. And even if you do have fantasies about them, and again, I don't mind that. Like, if you're fantasies, go sit in your room and sit there and fantasize about people and do nothing, okay, or whatever. You haven't done anything wrong. That's fine. Nobody cares, okay? Mm-hmm. But you're fearful that you're going to do something wrong that you could tangibly be punished for, could affect your career. Nobody can prosecute you for thought crime.
Right.
Okay, but if you do something wrong, well, how do you create further distance between the action of doing something wrong and the fantasy? And one way I know is to create the pre-boundary of very minimal self-disclosure to others.
Yeah.
I think that stops familiarity.
Which I think in this situation is very difficult because that's his only contact, right? I mean,
that
that's
doesn't
pretty
mean
much
you
his
have
only
to have
contact
familiarity.
No, I know.
But, whenever you and I were working at the
what I'm
rehab, we
saying,
didn't talk to anybody. We didn't have any friends. A lot of times we spent more minutes talking to the patients than we do any other human, but we still learned how to, put that in a box.
But we still had our outside social lives.
You had a social life? That
yeah,
whole time?
I hate to break it to you.
I did not. I went home and slept and came back. That was it.
Yeah.
When I was working on the mountain, same thing. That's all you do, is you're just always at work. So, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to say it's the same as Jeff. I don't think it is.
Well, and it's a different situation, too, as far as what his boundaries are. They're going to be different than what a therapist-client relationship boundary is.
Yes. Well, similar, because with ours, you could be prosecuted. It could be a real problem. But at the end of the day, your career is over. Whether you're a therapist or whether you're a resident director, your career is over if you cross that line. That's the one thing everybody's scared you're going to do. And if you do it, you're done. And that's kind of how he describes it in the letter. He says, I would be professionally destroyed. I would not be able to go to another place.
Sure.
So I like that idea of a pre-boundary. I think familiarity is a big one. Another one is burning the bridge. And I think burning the bridge is creating a barrier for that. And so here's some examples that we've done as therapists, especially running programs. And it's a little bit different for us, I think, because we need to have privacy meetings with certain patients that can't involve other people. But setting certain procedures for yourself. I do not meet with, so I get the impression that Jeff's describing female residents that he's attracted to, assuming that it's, that. Setting rules for yourself. I do not meet, with female students, residents alone. I do not, making that a rule for yourself. I will not do that. Announcing that rule for accountability, in a group meeting, when the house is having a meeting, hey guys, some of you guys have asked, sent me an email asking me to come up and check on this, that, or the other thing in your apartment. I just need you to know that we're instituting a new procedure in this building. For accountability and for safety, I will not be in anybody's apartment with only one individual there. So a neighbor needs to pop in or the door needs to be open. We just need to have more accountability.
Or just public space.
Public spaces. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll only meet in public spaces. And again, announcing that, making it a procedure, making it an accountability thing. Not telling them because I'm fantasizing about you, but just saying, that's for everybody's safety and accountability. And, just creating some of those barriers, Jeff, can sometimes actually create a prevention plan from anything accidentally happening.
Yeah.
Or from an environment that might lead to something bad happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hopefully that leads to some more insight and some deeper thought about this. Cause it's a really shitty situation because then, on the other hand, we definitely have to work on you meeting that need for social connection. And just right now, it's just you're just in a really difficult situation, spot.
I agree with that. But, okay. Jeff, I want to be careful because earlier I pointed out there are other therapists that have this different philosophy than me, that they never want sexuality to in any way be stigmatized and it's always infallible, it's always right. And I philosophically disagree with that. I think that, an appetite is not canon. I don't think an appetite decides a conscious human's decision-making process. I think we're allowed to make decisions that serve us, and our appetite is, not important, and it's subservient to us. But I also want to make another point. Some people would say, no, you can't stifle Jeff's sexuality. Jeff's going to need to find a way. No, Jeff's going to be fine.
Watch me.
Yeah, Jeff's going to be just effing fine. There are people that are monks and nuns, and, they might act out every 20 years or whatever, but he's going to make it through the pandemic, okay? Jeff can take care of business. He is going to be able to get through this, and
That's what we don't want.
Well,
Jeff
but
to
I'm
do.
not talking,
Yeah.
what I'm talking about, though, I'm not talking about just sexuality.
Companionship.
I'm talking about just
What do you think about
spending
Jeff
time with
downloading some dating apps and making it an intentional thing to set, probably age parameters and geographic parameters in the apps? I assume you can do that kind of thing. That would somehow say he's definitely not going to meet
Look at
students.
Jim pretending like he doesn't know everything.
I mean, I don't know how these ones work. You should use the code DADVICE at checkout. Get your discount at Match.com. But, what do you think about that? That could be a way for him to break the proximity barrier and start trying to make relationships with other people. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that'd be fine. I mean, even if it's not just dating, though, just finding people to socialize with,
Right.
and hang out with, and just being able to get out. But I think that's part of the challenge that he's facing right now. It seems like he's kind of locked down.
Right. Yeah, I agree. It's a good letter, Jeff.
Yeah.
And we're rooting for you, man. You can do this. You will get through this. Your career is worth it. You're worth it. Pre-boundaries, accountability procedures, that will stop a behavior from happening. And then just being very careful, obviously you've got to guard yourself on this one. And then, try to create a new outlet. Try to create the dating outlet in another way, making companionship happen somewhere else. Attending to that, maybe that will fill that need, and it'll at least give you enough that you're not craving it from other people. Mm-hmm. And then, it's hard, but again, you're not a monster. This happens naturally, and I like the way you're managing, buddy. So, Great stuff. Now, we've only done one break, right? All right,
Yeah,
you want to
so
break and go to the letters? Okay, cool. So we're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we're going to read you some extra letters that we've got, some reply letters. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
And this week's Their Producer sponsors are Nathan's Hot Dog Scoop, Dr. Ben Don, Scott Jameson, and Scott Brady. Thank you all for participating and helping us out. Our second trivia question in honor of those Their Producers.
Before you do the second one,
Okay.
I've got to fess up.
Yes.
St. Nicholas was right. Jim would have won $5.
Ah, shit.
I was-
Could have got my money back.
I was thinking of
Or
the
a
Dutch
bumper
guy.
sticker.
Yeah, I was thinking of the Dutch, the Dutch guy Santa Claus,
Ugh.
but he was also based on St. Nicholas.
It's on me.
There you go.
Put your
What
money
do
out
they
there.
call Santa Claus in Italy? If you'd like to join
Santa
the
Claus.
Ah, that was obviously it.
If you would like to join, if you would like to join
It's
Their
me,
Producers
Luigi.
and make the show possible, go to patreon.com/therapy and sign up. Again, that's patreon.com/therapy.
Mozzarella.
I'm going to go with mozzarella final answer.
It's mozzarella.
Oh,
So
sorry.
no.
Yeah, no.
You're wrong.
Mozzarella.
Mozzarella. Gelato. I'm going with that. What is the answer?
Babbo Natale.
That feels right. Yeah. That's better than Santa Claus, I think, if we're being honest.
Yeah,
That marketing would
yeah.
sell. Yeah.
Yeah.
That I'd like that on the side of a Coke can.
yeah.
Okay. Babbo.
Babbo Natale.
Natale. I
I
like
think
it.
I'm pronouncing it. Natale.
Oh, you're nailing it. There's no
Natale.
question. Nobody would ever
Right.
accuse you
No
of not
one-
speaking Italian.
No one has ever questioned my Italian
not
before.
Yet. Undefeated. That's
So-
how that goes.
100%.
100%. All right, couple of quick reply letters here. Hey guys, botanically speaking, a fruit is a seed-bearing structure that develops from the ovary of a flowering plant, whereas vegetables are all other plant parts, such as roots, leaves, and stems. Oh, interesting. By those standards, seedy outgrowths such as apples, squash, and yes, tomatoes are all fruits, while roots such as beets, potatoes, and turnips, leaves such as spinach, kale, and lettuce, and stems such as celery and broccoli are all vegetables.
Agreed.
Elsewhere, you'll actually find that there is no actual biological or botanical definition of vegetable. It's a purely culinary one. Jim, please don't swear off betting on the show. It's very fun to watch you run headlong into bad decisions. Effing you in the face, John.
You could have won $5 today.
I could have won $5. And then I read that letter and it's like, right in my face.
You miss 100% of the
What I
shots you
hear
don't
John
take.
saying, though, is that I wasn't wrong because there's no agreed upon definition.
I did not
Where
hear
do
that.
you hear that?
That's,
No.
It was clearly,
There's
that was
de-
the message.
John definitely just presented the agreed upon definition.
We have this breaking news from Fantasy Football Commissioner of the Pod Therapy Fantasy Football League, Smitty Scoop. Commissioner's recap. Well, the Pod Therapy Fantasy Football League has reached the playoffs, so I thought it was appropriate for a quick recap for the listeners.
I assume we won?
Defending champion Leon Kassab's team, Borderline of Scrimmage, finished as the highest scoring team in the league, averaging 139 points per game. Unfortunately, I followed Jim's instruction and gave the hardest schedule in the league to Leon. Leon's opponents averaged 140 points per week, and the defending champ finished at 5-8 and is out of the playoffs. Yeah! Go screw yourself, Leon. I have no regrets. In fact, the league was so competitive that only 3 teams of the 10 teams finished with winning records. 4 teams finished 6-7, and 3 teams finished 5-8.
Oh, that's fun.
Kevin and Andrea Anderson finished with an 8-5 record to win the pod division and earn a first-round bye in the playoffs. The Andersons will play the winner of the Mason Miller and Jeff Ackerman matchup in the semifinals next week. Brian Lehman finished with a 10-3 record to win the therapy division and earn a first-round bye. Brian Lehman's team, the Philly Freudians, will play the winner of the Sin City Shrink / Polly Mustang matchup in the semifinals next week. How the hell am I even in this?
I have no idea.
Worst record in the league. This is the game that I want to discuss. Jim versus Smitty Scoop, a.k.a. the person writing this letter.
Wait, I'm not in the playoffs, am I?
No, I don't believe you are. I don't even know. How the hell am I in the playoffs?
How is that?
I think we're talking about like a toilet bowl situation.
I'm in the playoffs. I don't know how that happened.
So Smitty says this, despite the fact that I trail 15-8 after the Thursday game, I would like to bet a sushi lunch at Goemon on this playoff game.
Wow.
Jim, do you take the bet? I realize that this episode will not air until after the game is already over, but I have complete confidence that Jacob cannot be bothered to edit the recording. You are correct.
Since I never edit this show.
Yeah, he has never edited one of them, except whenever one of them screwed up. Especially since we learned that you plan to put the bumper sticker under the hood of your car. What do you say? Is it a bet? So as I hear that,
Don't
I am
check the score.
Oh,
no,
fuck you!
no,
I'm
no.
checking it.
No, take his phone.
No.
I will throw
I
a
want
brick
to
at
look.
you. I've got a little pile of small bricks over here, and I will throw one at
Okay,
you.
well, now we know your aim is ridiculously good. All right, so do I take the bet for Goemon? God, Goemon sushi sounds so good. You know what?
He's definitely going to take
Guys,
the
I'm in
bet.
last
Of
place.
course he's going to take
I'm
it.
in
He's
last
definitely
place.
taking it.
Fuck it, I'll take it. Let's go.
You're not in last place.
Am I? Well, I think Nick's in last place.
I'm close.
I think
I know. I'm in last place.
All 3 of us are so bad. All right, Smitty, I take your action. We will find out who the winner is, and I'm doing this blind. Jacob and Nick can both verify that I cannot see. I have not looked at my scores, so
He does
So
not
you're going to
know.
do it. You're going to take the bet.
Should I not?
No,
Are you taking it?
All right, not
Yes
at-
or no?
yes or no?
Shake it off. Like, give me a baseball signal.
I'm not going to do that.
All right, yes, I take the bet. All
Okay.
you can eat sushi, Goemon,
Okay.
when and if Smitty ever comes back.
Now-
And the COVID has to be done, Smitty. Don't call me
Okay.
out of hibernation hiding to go pay my sushi bet. It's not going to
Now,
happen.
here's what's really funny, and this is 100% true.
Okay, as we tape this.
He just now texted me as you were reading this.
Yes. No way.
Yeah, he did. And he says,
Bet's off.
No, he says, damn, I'm going to lose to Jim.
Yeah.
Yes!
Oh no, you are crushing him.
Am I really? Am
Yeah.
I really?
It's currently 144 to 79.
Yes! Oh, man. We just got everybody's Christmas wishes. There was also the letter asking me to do more bets. John, you got your
There you
Christmas
go.
wish. I just took bets, and I just got freaking sushi from Schmitty, the commissioner of fantasy football. It's a Christmas miracle. Thank you, Smitty. Thank you. Man, that bet came back fast.
That's funny.
Very pleased. Very pleased. And then the last letter I think we'll punt, and we'll put it on the next one because I'm actually working on getting a guest that would
okay.
go along with that letter.
Cool.
So that'll be fun. But anyway. All right. So we have a lot of new people since we've last recorded who have joined the ranks of our Patreon community at patreon.com/therapy. We want to welcome our newest therapal, Mike 6.
Welcome, Mike, and our new theropods, Jessica Cyphers, Laura Dotson, Ian Soto, and that Josh guy.
That Josh guy. We also want to welcome our new pterodactyls. Welcome Robert Paulson. His name is Robert Paulson. And Lauren.
And we have some new theraproducers.
Hell yeah, we do.
Lauren, Leon Kassab, who you
official lawyer of Pod Therapy,
just said to go to hell. I think,
yes, no, he can,
ago.
but he can keep sending money.
he is now a therapy producer until next week.
Until he hears this taping.
And then Dan Martin joined.
Yes, who sent me a book today as a Christmas gift. My own book. Thank you, Dan.
Reverend Scoop Kevin pulled up a chair.
Welcome to the table.
And Malaya
joined us as well. And so it's funny because we expanded our therapy producer board. We had originally... What did we have? We had the Elite
16.
8. It's 8 originally.
Yeah.
And then we expanded to 16. And then Crazy Banana Scoop, I contacted Crazy Banana and I was like, hey, in Patreon, like you're not actually a therapy producer, but you give at above the therapy producer level. Like, you need to click a button to become a therapy producer. You got to click this button. Otherwise, it will show a seat's open. And she basically said, yeah, go to hell. I'm going to be a pterodactyl for life. And so she's like, you will take my money and you will like it, and I will still be ranked as, I think she wanted to be called like a theropod-dactyl or something like that. So she was like, yeah,
a theropodactyl.
That was it. And so she's like, yeah,
theropodactyl.
Theropodactyl, that feels right.
Yeah.
So that means there's probably still a seat open at the...
I don't think so. I think it's full.
Is it finally full?
We've got 17 total.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, because Ellie was leaving it open as well, mostly to spite me.
Oh.
And then finally, I think Ellie actually got into the seat. So I think officially now there's somehow 17 out of 16.
So
happened.
We want to especially thank our bosses, the Syrupy 16.
There's 17.
17. The Mysterious and Shrouded Illuminati members of our fan club, the Therapy Producers. Thank you, Smitty Scoop, Jake Schneider, Robert Brownie, Jr. Ment, Kayla Lansbury, Ellie O'Dare, Judy Schneider, Nathan's Hot Dog Scoop, Dr. Ben Don, Crazy Manana Scoop, Mason Miller, Scott Jameson, Carolyn Albert, Leon Kassab, Dan Martin, Reverend Scoop Kevin, and Malaya.
That's 16.
No.
I counted as we went. That came out to exactly 16. Did we get Crazy Manana in there? Do we have Ellie O'Dare? We do. Something's wrong. I think that there's one seat open. I think if you go to patreon.com/therapy right now, it will say on the therapy producer thing that there's one seat open. That's what I think.
That is 16.
It could be you, listener. It could be you.
Shit, I hope I didn't miss anybody.
No, I think that was it. I came into this one believing that there was one empty seat at patreon.com/therapy in the therapy producer boardroom. Thank you to all of our bosses and wonderful sponsors of the show. If you'd like to hear this episode uncut and unedited in the pre-show that we tape before the show and enjoy spontaneous side projects that we put together, you can go to www.patreon.com/therapy. And thank you for supporting mental health. That's all the time that we got for this week's session. We want to thank our landlords, the Ice Cream Social Podcast, and thanks to those of you who contributed to our show today. We really appreciate it. Remember, pod therapy isn't something you should keep all to yourself. Share this episode with someone who needs it. Open the episode's description in your podcast app. Copy and paste that link we provided into your social media. Don't forget, you can find us at facebook.com/podtherapy, on Twitter at PodTherapyGuys, and at patreon.com/therapy.
Do you want to submit a question to the show? Ask anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. I'm Nick Tangeman.
I am the second best therapist of Las Vegas.
That competed for that award.
181st?
181st best therapist.
Thanks, and we'll see you for your appointment next week.
Yeah, on patreon.com/therapy, it says therapy producers are sold out.
Oh, it does? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then we
Shit, I hope I didn't miss anybody.
You probably did. I don't know who you did.
Sorry.
Somebody
I
did.
suck.
Well, you got to search by, you got to filter it by amount. You can't say just who's in the therapy producer category. But then if you did, you would have missed Crazy Manana. Because Crazy Manana's in there too. But I think it was only Crazy Manana and Ellie.
Smitty says, at least I know a tomato is a fruit. So I guess
tell him Jim says you're a tomato.
There's a little bit of justice there.
Shut up, you tomato.
Also, I will announce, and I'm only going to announce this because it will light a fire under my ass.
Okay.